Pay attention to the footage from the security camera mounted on the ceiling of the third-floor hallway in the Red Mesa Apartments complex in northern Flagstaff, Arizona. The hallway is long, carpeted in gray, with cold white fluorescent lights reflecting off identical apartment doors. No one appears in the frame for the first few seconds. Only the steady hum of the ventilation system and footsteps echoing from the stairwell at the far end. A man enters the frame. He appears to be in his late 50s with short silver hair and a lean but sturdy build. He is wearing a light blue work shirt, dark jeans, and brown work boots. In his right hand, he carries a metal toolbox. The man is Thomas Harding, the building owner for over 12 years. Thomas walks down the hallway and stops in front of the door marked Unit 3B. He sets the toolbox on the floor and takes a key ring from his belt. Before unlocking, he knocks twice. He waits a few seconds. No response. He knocks again, harder. Still silence. The reason Thomas came up this morning began with a call at 7:40 a.m. The tenant in Unit 2B, directly below 3B, reported that their bathroom ceiling was dripping water. Not a lot, but enough to form steady drops into the sink. That usually means a plumbing issue in the unit above. Additionally, the tenant in neighboring Unit 3A said that the previous evening, around 11:30 p.m., they heard a loud thud followed by the sound of something heavy being dragged across the floor. They assumed it was furniture and didn't report it. But Thomas had called the tenant in Unit 3B 3 times that morning with no answer. So he decided to check. The camera captures the moment Thomas inserts the key. He turns it gently. The door opens about a foot before stopping against a large trekking backpack lying just inside. Thomas pushes lightly to slip through. He tilts his head, looks around, and calls into the apartment. "Hello, maintenance." No one answers. The room is darker than usual because the curtains are drawn almost completely. Light from the hallway spills onto part of the hardwood floor. On a small dining table near the window sits a video camera with its flip-out screen open. Next to it is an open laptop displaying video editing software. The cursor blinks on the timeline. On the sofa lies a phone. On the floor is a tripod. Everything looks as though someone stood up abruptly and left in a hurry. But the apartment is completely silent. Thomas takes a few more steps inside and glances into the small kitchen on the left. In the sink are 2 plastic cups and an open water bottle. No signs of cooking. No food smells. He turns back to the living room, intending to leave and call the tenant again, when his eyes stop on the floor. There is a long drag mark on the wood, not a small scratch. It is a faint, wide streak nearly 10 inches across, starting near the door and running straight toward the hallway leading to the bedroom. Thomas crouches to examine it more closely. The mark resembles something heavy being pulled across the floor. He stands and looks toward the hallway. The bedroom door at the end is closed. Thomas takes a few steps in that direction, but then stops. He has checked hundreds of apartments in his life, and his instinct right now is telling him something is wrong. He turns to leave the apartment and call the police. But at that moment, he hears a sound, very faint. At first, Thomas thinks it is dripping water, but then he listens again. Not water. The sound is like a weak breath or someone struggling to move. Thomas stands still for a few seconds. The sound comes again, clearer this time, from the bedroom. Thomas walks slowly toward it. As he nears the bedroom door, he notices a detail that makes him pause. The bedroom door is locked from the outside with a separate metal padlock, not the apartment's original lock. Thomas touches the padlock. It is new. That means someone attached it here recently. Thomas glances back into the apartment as if hoping someone will step out and explain. No one does. The faint sound from inside the room comes again. This time it resembles a soft groan. Thomas sets the toolbox on the floor and opens it. He takes out a screwdriver. It takes him about 20 seconds to remove the metal bracket holding the padlock. The padlock drops to the floor with a small metallic clink. Thomas places his hand on the doorknob. He turns it and pushes the door open. The door opens slowly. The bedroom inside is almost completely dark because the curtains are fully drawn. The air in the room is heavy and hot. An unpleasant smell spreads, sweat and metal. Thomas reaches for the light switch. The light comes on. On the floor are empty plastic water bottles, a roll of gray duct tape, and pieces of electrical cable. Then his eyes stop on the bed. A metal chain is padlocked to the bed frame, and at the end of that chain is a man. The man is lying on his side on the floor, back against the edge of the bed. His hands are tied behind his back with plastic cable ties. His right ankle is shackled to the chain. Duct tape covers his mouth. His t-shirt is stained with dried blood. His face is pale. His eyes are open but unfocused. Thomas stands frozen for a few seconds. Then he moves quickly, kneels beside the man. "Hey, can you hear me?" The man tries to move his head. A hoarse breath escapes. Thomas peels the duct tape from his mouth. The man draws a long, difficult breath. His throat is so dry he cannot speak. Thomas looks at his wrists. The skin is cut by the cable ties. There are bruises on his shoulders and ribs. Clearly, he has been here not for hours, but possibly days. Thomas steps back and pulls out his phone. His hand shakes as he dials 911. "There's a man tied up in my apartment unit," he says. "He's chained to the bed. I think he's been here for days." Within minutes, police and paramedics arrive on scene. They cut the cable ties, remove the padlock from the chain, and place the man on a stretcher. As an officer steps into the bedroom to check further, he stops. On the wall above the bed are lines of text written in black marker, repeated many times. The same sentence, "You were meant to understand me." After the bound man was carried out of Unit 3B apartment and loaded into the ambulance, the police officers began processing the crime scene right inside the apartment. The living room remained exactly as it was when Thomas Harding opened the door and stepped in. The trekking backpack lay in the middle of the floor. The tripod stood leaning. The video camera rested on the small dining table, and the laptop was still powered on. One officer approached the table near the window. Next to the laptop was a brown leather wallet. Inside the wallet were cash, several bank cards, and a Colorado driver's license. The name on the license was Nathan Cole, age 36. The photo on the card showed a man with brown hair, short beard, whose face closely matched the man just removed from the bedroom. However, the officers still needed further confirmation. They turned to the open laptop. The screen displayed the YouTube Studio dashboard interface with the Frontier Echoes channel logo in the top left corner. The stats bar showed hundreds of thousands of subscribers along with a list of recent videos. One officer scrolled down the video list and opened the most recent one. In it, the host stood in the middle of a red rock desert, speaking directly to the camera about the history of an ancient settlement. The face in the video matched perfectly with the man just found bound in the bedroom. That virtually confirmed the victim's identity. The man held captive in apartment 3B was Nathan Cole, the owner of the YouTube channel Frontier Echoes. Files saved on the laptop showed that Nathan was a content creator specializing in videos exploring the history and nature of the American West. His content focused on Native American ruins, ancient stone structures, and hiking trips through remote desert areas of Arizona, Utah, and New Mexico. Most videos were filmed solo, with the camera on a tripod or mounted on a handheld pole. In the laptop's project folder, investigators found an unedited video file named Wupatki Expedition Raw Footage. That explained why Nathan was in Flagstaff. Wupatki National Monument, about 40 minutes drive from the city, is a famous archaeological site known for its ancient Puebloan stone structures. According to a booking email stored in the computer, Nathan had rented Unit 3B apartment for 1 week to edit video after the shoot. Investigators then spoke with neighbors on the same floor. A neighbor in apartment 3A said they last saw Nathan on the evening of June 10, around after 8 p.m. He was carrying his backpack and filming equipment, said hello to them before opening the door and entering the apartment. After that, no one saw him again. That meant Nathan may have been held in the apartment for nearly 2 days before the building manager discovered him. Meanwhile, another investigative team reviewed the building's parking lot cameras. Footage from a camera mounted on a light pole revealed a notable detail. For several days before Nathan was found, a white cargo van frequently appeared in the parking lot. The vehicle did not belong to any resident in the building. Police ran the license plate, and the registration led to a name, Daniel Mercer, age 37. Records showed Mercer was a former U.S. Army veteran who had served in Afghanistan. After discharge, he was diagnosed with severe PTSD and had no stable employment. In recent years, Mercer had been living in that very registered cargo van and traveling across multiple western states. What caught the investigators' attention was in the parking lot camera footage itself. On multiple occasions when the van appeared, The camera captured Mercer stepping out of the vehicle and standing in the lot. He did not enter the building or meet anyone. He simply stood there and looked up toward the third floor, where apartment 3B was located. In one clip recorded on the evening of June 10, just hours after Nathan was last seen, Mercer stood beside the van for nearly 3 minutes, head tilted upward, gazing toward the third-floor hallway. Then he returned to the van and sat inside for almost 20 minutes before driving away. As investigators reviewed that footage, one thing began to become clear. The man living in that van had not appeared in the parking lot by chance. He had been watching that apartment for days, and very likely watching Nathan Cole. While some officers continued processing the living room and seizing electronic devices, the crime scene team moved into the bedroom. The curtains remained tightly closed and the room was lit only by a dim yellow ceiling light. The metal bed frame stood against the wall, and at the foot of the bed, a steel chain was still attached, secured with a padlock. The other end of the chain had been cut when rescue personnel freed the victim. On the floor were several empty water bottles, rolls of gray duct tape, and cut sections of plastic cable ties. Officers photographed every detail before collecting evidence. Scratches on the wooden floor showed the victim had repeatedly tried to move but was always pulled back by the chain attached to the bed. Dried bloodstains and indentations on the bedsheet indicated someone had sat there for a prolonged period. When one officer checked the closet against the wall, he discovered an unusual detail. On the inner shelf, behind a few jackets, was a small action camera pointed toward the bed. The device still had battery power, and the memory card remained inside. Investigators removed the card and reviewed the data right at the scene. The first video files silenced the entire room. This camera had recorded the entire bedroom. The initial video began on the night of June 10. In the footage, Nathan appeared in the room, arranging filming equipment. Just minutes later, a man entered the frame. He was tall, thin, wearing a dark jacket. His face was clear enough to identify Daniel Mercer. Subsequent videos showed Mercer overpowering Nathan, binding his hands with plastic cable ties, then pulling him to the floor before locking the chain to the bed frame and the victim's ankle. As investigators opened more files, they realized the camera had recorded continuously for days. Mercer appeared multiple times in the videos, sometimes bringing water and canned food into the room, sometimes simply standing silently in front of the victim. A few clips showed Mercer speaking to Nathan, but the audio was too low to make out clearly. Meanwhile, Nathan repeatedly tried to pull at the chain or stand up, but could not move far from the bed. After seizing the hidden camera in the closet, investigators returned to check the laptop data and discovered a recently created folder. Inside were numerous covert videos of Nathan filmed from a distance. Some were shot in the apartment complex parking lot. Others were taken from across the street, zoomed in on the window of Unit 3B. When the timestamps of these videos were compared with the parking lot camera data, the times matched almost exactly with the appearances of Daniel Mercer's white cargo van in the area. This showed that Mercer had not attacked the victim impulsively. He had been stalking Nathan Cole for days, recording him, observing his routines, and waiting for a moment when Nathan was alone in the apartment. When the investigative team finished collecting all electronic devices and evidence from the bedroom, the picture of the case began to emerge clearly. This was a premeditated kidnapping. Daniel Mercer had stalked Nathan, held him captive in that room, and placed a camera to record everything that happened inside. After seizing the hidden closet camera, memory cards, and data from the laptop in Unit 3B, investigators continued tracing the man in those videos, Daniel Mercer. At this point, Mercer's white cargo van has not been located, but vehicle registration records allow police to identify a phone number he recently used in transactions. An emergency warrant is obtained for digital data related to Mercer. When digital forensics analysts access Mercer's cloud storage accounts and phone data backups, they uncover a detail that shifts the investigation. In the phone's photo folder are hundreds of screenshot images from YouTube. These are not landscapes or locations. They are images of content creators. Most are YouTubers. Many are captures from videos where they are speaking to the camera, walking in forests, or filming outdoor vlogs. As investigators examine each image, a clear pattern emerges. The people in these screenshots are all solo content creators, nature exploration channels, hiking channels, channels exploring remote wilderness areas, people who regularly appear alone on camera, without film crews or teams behind them. Some faces appear multiple times in the folder, others only once or twice. But one face appears more than all the rest: Nathan Cole. Dozens of screenshots from the Frontier Echoes channel. Photos of Nathan standing before stone ruins in Utah. Photos of Nathan speaking to the camera in the Arizona desert. Photos of Nathan adjusting his camera next to his familiar trekking backpack. These images were captured over many months, according to the phone's timestamp data. This shows Mercer had known of Nathan long before appearing at the Flagstaff apartment complex. But the photos are only the beginning. In the same phone dataset, investigators find a notes app. Inside is a series of short entries written over many days. Some resemble a diary, some are disjointed thoughts. In many entries, Mercer mentions YouTubers he follows. He writes that they are people unbound, people who go alone and speak to the world. But the name that appears most often in those notes is still Nathan. In one entry written about 2 weeks before Nathan's captivity, Mercer writes that he feels Nathan is the only one telling the truth about loneliness. In another, Mercer writes that watching Nathan's videos makes him feel as though Nathan is speaking directly to me. The notes gradually become more obsessive. Mercer writes that Nathan understands the feeling of being abandoned, that Nathan is like me. In another note, Mercer writes that he needs to meet Nathan to prove that he understands. When investigators compare the timestamps of these notes with location data from the cargo van, they find Mercer traveled across states in a pattern closely matching the locations where Nathan recently filmed videos. Mercer appears to have followed Nathan's journey through his YouTube videos. When Nathan posted a video filmed in Utah, Mercer appeared in Utah. When Nathan posted a video filmed in Arizona, Mercer moved toward Arizona. And when Nathan posted his most recent video at Wupatki National Monument, Mercer appeared in Flagstaff just days later. The picture becomes clear. Daniel Mercer did not merely watch Nathan for a few days around the apartment. He had followed Nathan for months, through online videos, filming locations, and work habits. And in Mercer's mind, solo content creators appearing alone on camera were not strangers. Mercer believed they understood him. But among them all, Nathan Cole became the center of that obsession. And for Mercer, following Nathan through a screen was no longer enough. He wanted to meet Nathan, to talk to Nathan. And ultimately, he found a way to bring Nathan into that room. While investigators continue analyzing data from Daniel Mercer's phone and notes, Nathan Cole remains in the ICU at Flagstaff Medical Center. Doctors confirm severe dehydration, exhaustion, and multiple soft tissue injuries, but no life-threatening internal trauma. After nearly a day of eye fluids and monitoring, Nathan begins to regain full consciousness. A Flagstaff Police Department detective sits beside his hospital bed once Nathan is alert enough to speak. Afternoon light streams through the hospital window. Nathan speaks slowly, his throat still hoarse from days without adequate water. But the story he tells fills in the gaps investigators have been trying to piece together. Nathan says that on the evening of June 10, after returning from filming at Wupatki National Monument, he spent a few hours in the apartment transferring data from his camera to the laptop. Around after 9 p.m., he heard a knock at the door. That did not alarm him. During content trips, Nathan often encountered viewers or curious people who recognized him from YouTube. When he opened the door, he saw a man standing in the hallway. The man was tall, thin, wearing a dark coat, and said he needed help. The man said his vehicle had broken down in the parking lot, and asked if Nathan could lend him a phone to call for assistance. Nathan says he had no suspicion at the time. He turned back to the table to get his phone. As soon as his back was turned, the man stepped into the apartment and closed the door behind him. Nathan recounts that everything happened very quickly after that. The man, whom he later learned was Daniel Mercer, rushed him from behind and forced him to the floor. Mercer used plastic cable ties he had brought to bind Nathan's hands behind his back. Nathan resisted, but Mercer was stronger and prepared. Mercer dragged him into the bedroom, locked the bedroom door from the outside, then shackled Nathan's ankle to the chain attached to the bed frame. Nathan says Mercer taped his mouth shut and left the room for a few minutes. When Mercer returned, he brought a small camera and placed it in the closet, pointed toward the bed. Nathan says Mercer explained very little. He only said he wanted Nathan to understand him. In the first hours, Mercer spoke very little. He simply paced the room, watched Nathan, sometimes muttering disjointed remarks about Nathan talking to everyone through a screen. Nathan recounts that Mercer seemed to have watched a great deal of his content. Mercer mentioned locations Nathan had filmed, mentioned segments where Nathan spoke about feeling alone while hiking solo in the desert. Nathan says that was when he realized Mercer was not a random stranger. Mercer had been following him beforehand. Over the following days, Mercer kept Nathan in that room. He brought in water and canned food, but not much. Mercer often left the camera running when he entered. Nathan says Mercer sometimes asked questions, sometimes Sistel stood and stared in silence. There were times Mercer became angry when Nathan did not respond as expected. Nathan says Mercer struck him multiple times, mostly with hands or by shoving him to the floor when he tried to move too far from the bed. The chain allowed Nathan only about a meter of movement, and each time he tried to pull farther, Mercer dragged him back. Nathan says what terrified him most was not the restraints but Mercer's shifting moods. At times, Mercer spoke as though Nathan were a friend, but minutes later, Mercer could rage and yell that Nathan refused to understand. Mercer also said he wanted to record everything, so the closet camera always pointed at Nathan. In some instances, Mercer even held his phone to film closer, as though wanting to capture the victim's reactions. Nathan says he began losing track of time after the second day. The bedroom window was covered, and Mercer never mentioned the day or hour. Nathan only knew Mercer left the apartment a few times, possibly to retrieve items from the van. But Mercer always returned. Nathan says that on the morning of June 12, Mercer left the apartment and did not return for many hours. By then, Nathan was too weak to keep trying to pull the chain. He lay against the edge of the bed, barely conscious. He remembers trying to make noise by scraping his foot against the bed frame, hoping someone in the building might hear, but he did not know if anyone did. Hours later, he heard the apartment door open. At first, Nathan thought Mercer had returned, but instead he heard a different voice calling from the living room, an older voice. It was Thomas Harding, the building owner. Nathan says that at that moment he tried to make any sound possible. A breath, a movement, anything that might be heard outside. And a few minutes later, the bedroom door opened. Nathan says that was the first time in days he saw someone other than Daniel Mercer enter that room. And that was the moment he knew he had survived. Nathan Cole's statement confirms to investigators that the primary suspect is Daniel Mercer. That same day, the Flagstaff Police Department issues a lookout for the white cargo van registered to Mercer. Images of the vehicle are pulled from Red Mesa Apartments, parking lot cameras, and distributed to the Arizona statewide alert system. However, Mercer had left the city before Nathan was rescued. Investigators shift to reviewing traffic cameras along routes leaving Flagstaff. A camera on Interstate 40 captures the van departing the city around 10:32 a.m. on June 12, just hours before Thomas Harding discovered the victim. The vehicle heads east. From there, investigators track Mercer's route through successive cameras. A camera in Holbrook, Arizona records the vehicle passing in the early afternoon. Later, a gas station camera near Dallas, New Mexico, shows Mercer stopping to refuel. In that footage, Mercer steps out of the van wearing the same dark coat seen in the hidden closet camera video from the apartment. This information is immediately forwarded to New Mexico State Police and patrol units along Interstate 40. By the next morning, a traffic camera in Albuquerque detects the white cargo van entering the city from the west. At approximately 9:17 a.m., on June 13, an Albuquerque Police Department patrol officer spots the vehicle parked at a gas station lot near the highway. The plate matches the lookout. When officers approach, Daniel Mercer is sitting in the driver's seat. He does not flee and offers almost no resistance when ordered out. Mercer is handcuffed and arrested on the spot pursuant to a warrant related to the abduction of Nathan Cole. A search of the van reveals plastic cable ties, industrial duct tape, empty water bottles, and several pieces of video equipment. All are seized as evidence. Less than 24 hours after Nathan's rescue, the search ends in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where Daniel Mercer is taken into custody. Daniel Mercer's case went to trial in Coconino County Court, Arizona, nearly a year after Nathan Cole was rescued from the Flagstaff apartment. Over the course of the multi-day trial, prosecutors presented the jury with the full chain of evidence collected from the scene and electronic devices. But the most powerful moment in the courtroom came when Nathan Cole took the stand. By then, Nathan had largely recovered physically, but he spoke slowly and clearly as he recounted what happened in the small bedroom of Unit 3B. He described the moment Mercer knocked on the apartment door, pretended to need help, and how Mercer rushed him when he turned to get the phone. Nathan described being bound with plastic cable ties, chained to the bed frame, and held in the dark room for days. When the prosecutor asked Nathan what frightened him most during that time, Nathan answered that it was Mercer's silence. The times Mercer simply stood and watched him without speaking, as though waiting for him to understand something. After Nathan's testimony, prosecutors played the videos recorded by the hidden closet camera. In the footage, Daniel Mercer appears multiple times in the bedroom, binding Nathan, attaching the chain to the bed frame, and returning to check on the victim over many hours. Some clips show Mercer speaking to Nathan, demanding that he understand me. The courtroom fell nearly silent as the videos played. Defense attorneys argue that Mercer was influenced by PTSD and psychological disorder, but prosecutors contended that months of stalking Nathan and installing a camera to record the entire process demonstrated premeditation. After many hours of deliberation, the jury reached a verdict. Daniel Mercer was found guilty of kidnapping, unlawful imprisonment, and aggravated assault. The judge subsequently sentenced him to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. When the sentence was read, Mercer showed almost no reaction. Nathan Cole sat quietly in the back row of the courtroom, listening to the conclusion of a story that began in the small bedroom of Unit 3B. If you want to see more untold case files, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next stories. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next episode.